Sister Holland and I were married about the time both of us were reading poems like that in BYU classrooms. We were as starstruck and as fearful as most of you are at these ages and stages of life. We had absolutely no money, zero. For a variety of reasons, neither of our families were able to help finance our education. We had a small apartment just south of campus, the smallest we could find, 2 bedrooms and a half bath. We were both working too many hours trying to stay afloat financially, but we had no other choice. I remember one fall day, I think it was in the first semester after our marriage in 1963. We were walking together up the hill past the Mazer building on the sidewalk that led up between the President's home and the Brimhall building. Somewhere on that path, we paused, stopped, and wondered what we had gotten ourselves into. Life that day seemed so overwhelming. And the undergraduate plus graduate years that we still anticipated before us seemed monumental, nearly insurmountable. Our love for each other and our commitment to the gospel were strong, but most of all the other temporal things around us seemed particularly ominous. On a spot which I could probably still mark for you today, I turned to Pat and said something like this: "Honey, should we give up? I can get a good job and carve out a good living for us. I can do some things. I'll be okay without a degree. Should we stop trying to tackle what right now seems so difficult to face?" In my best reenactment of Lot's wife, I said, in effect, let's go back. Let's go home. The future holds nothing for us. Then my beloved little bride did what she has done for 45 years since then. She grabbed me by the lapels and said, "We are not going back. We are not going home. The future holds everything for us." She stood there in the sunlight that day and gave me a real talk. I don't recall that she quoted Paul, but there was certainly plenty in her voice that said she was committed to setting aside all that was past in order to press toward and seize the prize of God that lay yet ahead. It was a living demonstration of faith. It was the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So we laughed, kept walking, and finished up sharing a root beer, 1 glass, 2 straws, at the then newly constructed Wilkinson Center. 20 years later, I would, on occasion, look out of the window of the President's home and picture there on the sidewalk 2 newly wed BYU students, down on their money and down even more on their confidence. And as I would gaze out that window, usually at night, I would occasionally see not Pat and Jeff Holland, but you, and you, and you, and you, who are walking that same sidewalk. I would see you sometimes as couples, sometimes as a group of friends, sometimes just a lone student. But I knew something of what you were feeling and some of the thoughts that you were having. Thoughts like, is there any future for me? What does a new year or a new semester or a new major or a new romance hold for me? Will I be safe? Will life be sound? Can I trust in the Lord and in the future? Or would it be better, you might be asking, would it be better to go back? Go home with Lot's wife? To all such of every generation I call out, you remember Lot's wife. Faith is for the future. Faith builds on the past, but never longs to stay there. Faith trusts that God has great things in store for each of us, and that Christ truly is the high priest of good things to come. Keep your eyes on your dreams, however distant and far away. Live to see the miracles of repentance and forgiveness, of trust and divine love that will transform your life today, tomorrow, and forever.